Aloha. This is Jason Schwartz, your host here at the Neutral Zone, MauiNeutralZone.com. You can find us at Akaku Maui Community TV. You can find us on the radio, 88.5 FM, up on the web, on YouTube, and on our page there at MauiNeutralZone.com. And watch this and other interviews again. I have a terrific guest today. It is not every day that I can say that I have a distinguished guest, but today I have a distinguished guest. This is Paul Morgan. Many of you who are looking at me like, I thought that was Paul Morgan. Welcome to our show, Paul.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Now, you are running for, I'll let you do the formal thing. You're running for governor of the state of Hawaii.
Yes, I am. Paul Morgan, governor of Hawaii, 2022. You can find more about us at our website, paulmorganforgovernor.com, and that includes social media links as well.
I'm sure that in a moment when I give you the stage, you have things you like to say. What made you decide to run? You obviously, you'll tell us about you a little bit. What made you decide that this was the time you decided to run for governor?
Well, kind of like a lot of people who are in the race and running, I've had enough of hearing the moaning, the complaining, and the feelings of desperation that people feel as if they don't have a voice that's being heard, and solutions to problems that are congressionally and constitutionally mandated to have. We have a set of instructions to get things done, but it's just simply not being followed. The system is broken. I have a family as well, and I want my family, along with my community and my state, to be able to thrive. So considering all those options, of course, the corruption and just so many other different things, I decided to just look within myself, check with my families and friends and people who've known me for a long time, since I've been in Hawaii since 2013, to ask the question of, would you support me running for governor of Hawaii? And they all said yes. So here we are after 2.5 years we've actually started this campaign over 2 years ago because we wanted to do a focus study. We wanted to, and what came out of that was that I lacked name recognition. So with that being said, there's 76 districts, and having to physically be in all those different districts, that's what I've been doing. So sometimes I'm in 7 districts in one day. Just this past weekend, I was in 7 districts in one day. And over the last day and a half, I've been in another 8. So right now I'm on Oahu and just going to different towns, whether it's me with someone else or just by myself, to just meet people where they are, whether they are homeless, whether they are working security in a store, whether they are family members, or kahuku football practice and talking to the head coach. No matter where people are, I will stop and hear their concerns about the state of Hawaii.
So now you've listened to people. What are their concerns? I know, but let me hear. What do you hear the most? What's the one?
Right. It's that consistent of ending corruption, affordable housing, healthcare, education, simply technology. In some areas, you don't have broadband internet that extends to the neighbor islands as well. A sustainable Hawaii, from farming to repurposing government buildings that are on the windward side of Oahu that are just simply abandoned, that could become homeless shelters, to, you pretty much name, affordable housing, to seeing the actual wind turbines that are producing or generating electricity, along with solar panels, a few solar panel farms. So being able to scale these consistent practices to solve our problems just goes to the people who understand the concerns of the people, and bringing those people in to be a part of my board, cabinet, deputy and director heads, boards and commissions at the local level, so we can get these things resolved. The concerns are pretty consistent across the state.
What were you doing before you were running?
A business development consultant. So this is my niche, right? This is solving problems effectively, efficiently, and productively. So in the end, it produces the desired result. So having that experience and being a former government contractor, and my role in that was to help small minority, veteran, and woman-owned businesses to sell to the state, local, and federal government. Before I actually made the announcement. I was actually an insurance agent owner on the Big Island in KAHULUI Kona. So from those experiences, and even having the experience of working in child protective services, juvenile probation, adult probation, and hearing from one extreme to the other what people's true concerns are, from we need our basic needs met so that we can simply thrive, and the empowerment that goes along with that, to the point of what are we going to do about these taxes, and how can you help us with taxes and some of the other things that are affecting us as thriving business owners.
I have a funny expression that I can't say it all in its natural form because you can't say it on the air here, but sometimes it's difficult to remember that your original intention was to drain the swamp when you're up to in alligators. There's so many problems and there's so many things we need to get done, but there's only $1 and we got to spread it 93 ways. Have you looked at that? I mean, I know I have, and I don't want to go off again on a tangent because I actually have ideas that aren't government, how to raise money so that we can do things, because the government runs out of money. I mean, I know here in Maui, if you want to ask, it depends where you are on the island. If you say the word Lahaina bypass on Maui, they know, oh, on the west side, it's so congested. We need that upper highway to go past Lahaina, and it's getting crazy. Or if you're in Kihei, they'll say, hey, what about that roundabout and that traffic thing? And then the people say, wait, where do we get the money for this? So your laundry list of things, I probably could say, overlays with mine. We're hitting the same arena. But how do we do this is often the question. So as governor, I'm to run a team of people. We got to come up with the money. I just sort of fishing, really, kind of wondering what kind of thoughts you've had about that.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm glad you're asking it, because from the issuance of bonds to investment infrastructure to simply repealing the con law, certificate of need law, so we can have the investment and infrastructure of hospitals. There, from my understanding and doing the homework, there's some entities who are interested in investing their own money according to zoning laws in the state of Hawaii to build hospitals or to partner and invest in our medical care facilities, and just utilizing from that investments to the bonds to even advertising revenue in some of these government locations where entities are able to just simply put monitors in and to advertise products, goods, and services that are pretty much nonprofit organizations that already have the grant funding, but they have to conduct the outreach along with receiving revenue from other government agencies that have funding for advertising, marketing, those different things. So just considering my experience in the background and knowing what some of the low hanging fruit is available, building the pilot projects off of these things that I've experienced and know of, and combining with some insight that you've experienced and know of as well, so that we can address these issues head on. As we're running this campaign, we're considering 3 values. 1, what we do does not increase the overhead of the state. 2, it doesn't cause people to think they're going to lose their jobs, because as we attract this investment to the states, the unions are going to have so much work that they're going to need to consider, are we going to sub this out to local contractors? Are we going to sub this out to, because the contracts are already in place? And 3, what's in the best interest of the citizens of the state of Hawaii?
A lot to consider. I always am looking at these things. We are such idealists as candidates. I've watched some of these people get into office and say, oh boy, trying to get agreements between. I thought I had a big deal because me and my wife couldn't get along. Now I got to deal with all these people, and you're already in a big tribe and family. How do you deal with getting a decision? And as a governor, how would you go about trying to get momentum behind some of your ideas?
Well, I think it goes back to, I had some training at one time. I was in child protective services. The practice was called family group decision making, and it was focused on reunification of the family. So you would have the different providers, from the caseworker to the doctors to the treatment professionals to the actual agency people, in order to do what was in the best interest of the child and reunifying the family. And what that came down to, it was a strength-based approach to reunifying the family. And at the end of it, it was that approach. So taking those skill sets that I've acquired over all these different years into meeting 76 from representatives to senators, to bring these people individually together to the table to understand, what do we all actually agree upon? And apparently, from what I know now, it's the issues. So how do we solve these issues in the way that's most efficient? That's what we're going to come to the table on and implement. Like I said, the low-hanging fruit of things that are available that I'm bringing to the table as sort of experiences that they may or may not know of, and some experiences and things that I may not know of, so we can synergize this thing to the point of it actually works. It works like and if I can talk about football a little bit, it works like a doggone football play, because that's real work. That's taking a week to decide on, watching a whole lot of film of things that could possibly work in order to create a practice plan that's actually going to work, so that you practice that thing over and over and over and over again, to the point of, like Seth Curry says, you practice it so much that you can't get it wrong. So taking that detailed and direct approach to people who are in office to help people, I'm the eternal optimist as well, but I understand that there's a whole lot of hard work that goes into a smooth running machine. So just simply meeting people where they are and front loading the work of being in all of these different districts to know what's going on, from the erosion of the coast to the parking that's limited on the North Shore, not just seeing it on TV, but actually experiencing, to being on Maui, to knowing the concerns of the water and what that simply means to have a water meter installed in a lot of these locations. So just myself as being the governor, front loading the work to have a better understanding of what the true issues are, so that with the Congress and the House and the Senate coming together individually and then collectively to do what's in the best interest of the people. A lot of hard work, Jason, a lot of hard work. But I'm fortunate that I'm 46 years old and I have all this energy, and I'm so focused on making this happen with the right people.
Well, I also hope that through this election season, what will happen is I will meet, you will meet, we'll meet people who have ideas that, whether we sit in the seats or not, we have to somehow share our ideas and start implementing solutions, because these times are changing. We're so polarized and things get so, I don't know what the word is. I think the word is selfishness and confusion about where our priorities are. When you're meeting people, all the different people, they have common problems, but now how are we going to come together? You have a leadership team. What's now your leadership team in place? How are we going to bring up the society? I don't know if this is an answer or a question. To be listening and hearing and being part of it. You talk about being a team. How do we get new recruits? This army only gets bigger in time because we're adding people with the like-mindedness. How do we change people's minds or expose them to the better way, the team way that's going to accomplish more?
Well, one of those things that we also saw and will continue to do is outreach and reaching out to different groups and organizations that have influence, from your churches to your other religious entities to nonprofit organizations and to teams. I've been fortunate that I've been invited into a few teams where the coaches have asked me to talk. And what I've shared with those kids, those motivated athletes who are doing it for no money, they're showing up in their summers, and they're doing it for free because they believe and they trust the process. And that's going to be something that we carry over into the administration, where we go to the schools, go to these organizations and ask, who's going to be the next governor of Hawaii, all the way from kindergarten all the way up to PhD level. And then asking that lieutenant governor the same thing. Go into those schools and ask, who's going to be the next lieutenant governor? And then who's going to be the next senator and representative? And then we bring in those entrepreneurs who are providing jobs for people in those local communities to come in. Like back when I was growing up, they called it career day. So just implementing that process, nights and weekends, that's how we bridge the gap between what the schools have and what they need, and the nonprofits of what they have and what they're able to provide. So nights and weekends, we're going to bring in these programs, mentoring programs that affect from the kids to the kupuna and every natural resource that there's a possibility, so that it stays, again, within those three values of lowering the overhead of the state, not causing people to think they're going to lose their jobs, and what's in the best interest of the citizens. We've also considered what happens if the utility increases at the school or there's no security. So that's where the grants and those nonprofits come into play to provide those resources of just simply solar panels. And eventually we want to have the air conditioning in all the schools. And then the kids are in a safe place. People know where schools are. There's enough space for a lot of people. But having nights and weekends and summers available for these kids to go and participate in something that's going to create independent living skills, career training, whether they're going to a trade school or they're actually going to another university, or if they're just simply trying to figure it out with internships, paid or unpaid, so that they are prepared when they get out. So you asked a question about what are we going to do to create this army? We're going to attack those kids head on to show them by example of how to help themselves. And as we do that, the parents are going to be eavesdropping, and they're going to hear some things too, because, as parents, we like to know that we know. So that saying goes, right? We like to know that we know, but we're always open to better things that'll help us as well.
Well, I'm also hoping in this time, people like yourself and myself, when we're out there, can kind of get past this division we've had because of I want to say post-COVID. We're not actually post, I don't think, but the thing about the shot, not shot, and it's getting so confusing on a national level about politics. Here in the state, in my opinion, if we're not self-sustainable, and forget what they're doing anywhere else, we got to do it here, or we're going to be in crisis. We're actually at crisis level now, I think. But
right, and that's one of those areas as well, like sustainable. So with our campaign platform, which eventually it transfers with us into the administration, or transitions into the administration with us, it's simply Hawaii first, and that's focused around the three areas of economic recovery, sustainable Hawaii, and ending corruption. I've actually uploaded the first round of the End Corruption to our website, so people can go check it out. And it starts with just simple exit interviews, because every employee has signed that job application that says they're certifying under basically truth that they're qualified to do these jobs. So as we do those exit interviews, we simply want to know worst case, best case scenario, that people do their jobs based off of the duties and responsibilities of the job. And then eventually we also want to know best practices, so we can scale those best practices as well. Of course, anything criminal will be investigated through the proper channels, and having the first, I'll call it the first round draft pick of my administration, which is an attorney general who's going to back me up. That's what we're going to look into, and utilizing third party and federal resources from the civilian to military to help us with those investigations of things that people know that there are corrupt practices. So I want to know the names. We want to know the names. We want to know the facts, so that if there's those acts committed, then we want to prosecute again. We also want to know the best practices of things that worked.
well, what you said, I think, is important across the board to everyone, and that is accusations without proof is very, very, very dangerous. I think we've seen that. So, yeah, if we're going to go at situations, we really need to dig to find tangible proof, because we've gotten so divided over things that if we actually look at substance, we might agree. I would like to see that come in this new regime of yours, of almost like, let's clean the slate in somehow and move forward together as people. Any programs for Hawaiians, or any things that you might want to mention to different groups or anything? I know you have the floor here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what we're doing is, as we already know, there's over 4,800 nonprofits in the state of Hawaii. So have an opportunity to eventually talk to these good different groups. in a townhome setting to educate them on the power of having a 501c3, from being a part of what we want to empower people to be in organizations, from nonprofits to churches and associations, including condo and homeowners associations, to be a part of this crisis that we have in affordable housing. Because they have those statuses as 501c3s, they're able to work with us and then eventually work with the USDA and some of the other agencies to be developers. To actually, when a nonprofit 501c3s actually owns land, they become the land is exempt. So that's one way that we can help lower the immediate overhead of home ownership in the state of Hawaii. So just some best practices and working with these nonprofits and organizations to get them to the level of, hey, let's create these opportunities within Hawaii, a sustainable Hawaii. So we have a nonprofit that actually works with a developer and a contractor to pull it all together.
Well, what I'm thinking, for example, I have a 501c3. You're saying that I can work and go to the HUD people. They can show me the properties, identify them. We can get the lenders and create situations to create ownership, multiple housing situations from what already exists. And there's not only new construction of something at a distance, but right here in the middle of all that's going on, we can expand the house, solve the housing, and don't have to go too far. We've got it built into it, can really help the people that already are doing.
Absolutely. It empowers the people, it empowers the organizations who want to do more and can do more. It's just simply knowing how to and what's available. I've heard a lot of people talk about the issues with some nonprofits getting money and not doing the things they're supposed to be doing. I actually was talking with a gentleman last night up in the North Shore about it as well. And he was sharing his opinion, some insights of when things are donated to these organizations, that the better things are kept by some of the staff and employees. Again, that's one of those things that needs to be investigated, versus the not so good stuff is being given to the people who it's supposed to be happening. So having these things, just taking a real deep dive into what these opportunities are, so that people are getting the help and the resources. So I mean, if people know what things are going on, call the IRS, call the Internal Revenue Service. And because, I mean, if you really wanted to look at it, you can go to the irs.gov website and see the different organizations, see what they're already doing as far as donations, receiving gifts and gifts of those things. And if you know something, like I said, it's a fact, then report it. You don't have to wait. You can report it.
So it seems like corruption, you're very aware. Obviously, people hear about this all the time, that all the good stuff private people use and the little crumbs go into the program that actually are delivered. You know, you've heard that. We've got this much, but what is delivered is so very little of it. Like when it goes to foreign countries, but here in this example, right here locally, it's happening. Yeah, that's
right.
stuff.
I am really, Jason, I am totally for the resources to help people that get to people. I can even understand the nonprofit may not have the expertise. So that's where those nights and weekends, when we have those collaborative nonprofits come in, they're also going to have an opportunity to collaborate with other nonprofits. They're also going to have the ability to learn and grow and learn about resources that are available to help nonprofits. I think it's one of the computer software companies that actually donates licenses to 501c3s, as well as some CRM, and this particular company also donates 1% of the gross income, revenue, income. Sorry about that. Income, volunteers, and actual cash to nonprofits. So just like I said, bringing all these people together for the right reasons and what's in the best interest of the citizens of the state of Hawaii. You've heard me say so many times with those three values, it doesn't increase the overhead of the state, doesn't cause people to think they're going to lose their jobs, and works in the best interest of the citizens of Hawaii. So just bringing everything that I've been a part of and know of to the point that we've actually divided our campaign into three different phases. There's the primary, which what we're in right now, 56 days right now. And then there's the general election, which is going to be more intense. And then there's a celebratory where we launch the Hawaii International Wellness Festival across the different islands, of bringing all of these different groups together in the best interest of our state. And that's going to include biannual educational fairs where we invite all of those different institutions to Hawaii so kids know and people and citizens know of the options that are available for college, secondary schools, trade schools, you pretty much name it. And that's going to be some revenue that's coming into the state as well. So as the state, repurposing funding from Hawaii Tourism Authority to actually make those things happen, we've put together a promotional part of Hawaii Made, Hawaii Grown, where we're going to support Hawaii Made, Hawaii Grown businesses to the point of when they opt in to receive technical assistance from our partners. At that point, they'll get that certification. They'll have access to low interest loans and matching grant funding to help export those businesses from the state of Hawaii. These are some best practices that are being done. This is some of the things that I've been able to be a part of on my consulting side or in government contracting to know and see that these things actually work. Again, what I'm sharing is I am front loading the work. My team, we are front loading the work to the point of we are getting out to the different districts, all 76 of them, in order to meet people where they're at, to join our campaign, to be a part of what we're doing for the sake of what's in the best interest, ultimately, of Hawaii.
Thank you. We have a little bit of time left. Thank you for coming on here, and you are a welcome repeat guest anytime, election or not. We like to find solutions and share good things. I've been at this now 3 decades. I ran for politics way back in the 90s, that last century, and here I'm running again. Well, I'm running because people have asked me to run. We'll see who remembers. I had a girl on earlier, lived on Lahaina her whole life, doesn't even know who I am, so who knows where all this is going. But I'm glad to know that I'm 71. You're in your mid-40s and you're ready to rock and carry good ideas forward. I really appreciate that you're running so hard and really going out there and meeting the people, like you say, where they're at. Anything you'd like to say to kind of close out, to kind of summarize for people?
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be a part of and to be able to share the message and the platform of what we're about and how we're all going to do this together, because that's what this is about. Ultimately, we all want the same things. We all want peace of mind and knowing that we have a safe place to stay, food to eat, our families are taken care of, and we have a little bit of money at the end of the day to go to a movie or to do something fun with the people that matter the most to us. I'm doing that now because I want to see my kids thrive as well. I want to see the kids that I coach. I want to see our community. I want to see us all be in those same situations. My name is Paul Morgan. I'm running for governor of Hawaii 2022. I humbly and am asking for everyone's support in the state of Hawaii in this coming primary, August the 13th, which is a Saturday, and then November the 8th again as your next governor of Hawaii. Thank you for this opportunity, Jason.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining me here, Paul. Paul Morgan, candidate for governor. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you out there in radio, TV, and internet land. If you'd like to watch this again, go up to YouTube or MauiNeutralZone.com, or you'll see links everywhere. Share this with everyone. The more people you share with, the more people get up close and see who Paul Morgan is. And if that meets your heart, all right. Thank you, Paul. Have a great day and best of wishes and luck in this campaign.
Mahalo. You too. God bless.
You will. Aloha. Thank you, guys.